everyone, it's Rom, and today I'm joined by Lilith. She's letting me hold her for the first time in a while. She does not really like being held anymore, but I wanted to get her up here to say hi. Okay, she wants down now. Today I'm making a video about Lilith. Lilith is very old. I don't know if you could tell just by looking at her, but she is a senior ferret. She's about 8.5 years old, and that's pretty old for a ferret. Ferrets usually live about 8 to 10 years, 10 being really lucky that your ferret didn't develop any sort of illness. And Lilith has, and still has, quite a few illnesses and diseases that are really common for ferrets. I wanted to make this video because Lilith is going to be with me for too much longer. She's probably going to die in the next year or year and a half. And I want to make this video for myself, for my partner, for anyone who has loved Lilith in her long life that she's had with me. And I just think it would be fun. I love spending time with Lilith, and Lilith is probably my best friend ever, and I'm just gonna make a video talking all about her. That's all this video is gonna be. It's me talking about Lilith and my other ferrets. So let's jump into it. I'm not gonna probably pick her up for any more of the video because I don't like doing that to her too much, since I know she doesn't like it. So the rest of the video you'll be seeing her running around on the ground, or pictures or videos I will put up that I took. So first I'm gonna talk a little bit about Lilith and the life that me and her have had together, and then I'm gonna show you footage that I took. I filmed what she does throughout the day, and so this is like a day in the life of a geriatric ferret. And the other part of this video, like the whole latter half, is just gonna be me doing voiceover of cute pictures and videos of ferrets that I have. Of her, of my other ferret, Juniper, and Baby. Lilith, I got her when she was 6 weeks old, or at least I was told she was 6 weeks old, but I got her from a pet store, not a breeder, so that's not entirely reliable. But she was very small. She was the smallest ferret they had. They had about 20 in one of those octagonal containers. And that's just too many. That would be like having 20 ferrets living in one of these cages, if even the octagonal container they had was smaller. But that's Juniper's cage, and Lilith's cage is just one of these layers because she can't do stairs very well anymore. But she used to also have a large, I used to call it Lilith bungalow because it was so big and she's so small. And so they were having a sale after Christmas, and all these ferrets were on sale. I was 15 at the time. I went to this pet store and I saw her for sale, and it was like really, really deducted price. Ferrets usually go for about $100 when you buy them, and she was for like 70 or something. So my mom, I convinced my mom to take her, which was insane because I'd never had a pet my whole life up until this point. I've never been able to make my parents cave into letting me have a pet, and so I finally got one, Lilith, and it's just been a wild ride. She was so tiny when I got her, and you can't tell now because she's so old, and she has dementia. Not exactly, but you know, animals go through the same sort of breakdown of the brain that humans do when they get old, and so she pretty much has dementia. She doesn't really remember stuff anymore. That's why she doesn't like being held. I think she can't understand what's going on. So there are lots of little things like that, but you can't tell now, but she used to have a very vibrant, sassy personality. She is so sassy, and now that I have another ferret that is so opposite, that's so sweet and cuddly and loves being loved on, I've come to realize just how independent and unique Lilith's personality is, or was. And she's just honestly brought me so much joy. Like I said, I got her when I was 15, and there were a lot of hard things going on. My brother died, my stepdad had died, my grandmother had died, all within like the same 3 years. And then I got her, and she really did help me through a lot, you know. And also being a 15-year-old, you know, you're going through puberty. I was very angsty. I was a very, very angry person. depressed. I was so depressed, and having Lilith at first seemed like a total mistake because I was a lazy teenager and did not want responsibility. But over the coming weeks, I came to realize that she was like the only thing that got me out of bed some days. You know, when you're in high school before you have a job, you know, and you don't have any responsibilities, sometimes with depressed teenagers, it's hard to find a reason to get out of bed. And for a long time, she was that reason. You know, she really was. And I appreciate it so much, even though she's a little animal and she can't know what she did for me, of course, but I love her so much, and because of how much she's helped me, I feel just so happy to be able to give her this, you know, a loving end of life experience. I have spent so much money on this ferret. There's a little face. That's her little nose sticking out. She loves sleeping in that rhino. I spent so much money. I have a video on my channel ranting about like a really horrible experience we had semi-recently with her. This idiot vet telling us that she had tumors and cancer and all this stuff, and then it turns out she didn't. She didn't have any of that. He was just a horrible vet that didn't know anything about ferrets. Anyway, that's a video for another time. And before I start all that, I also want to talk about how about a year ago, we adopted 2 other ferrets. We actually adopted them in the first start because I thought Lilith was depressed. Ferrets can get depressed, but she wasn't. It just turned out she was having some health issues that was making her act so sluggish and depressed. But still very glad I did that because Juniper, my other ferret, she's like one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I love her dearly, and I'm so glad I was able to take her from a situation that was really bad and give her a good life, because when we got her, we really didn't get any information about where her and her cage mate baby came from, and it turned out that Juniper had a peach pit sized stone in her, I think it was in her bladder, from having a terrible diet. You can't just feed ferrets anything. They're obligate carnivores, and lots of people just feed them cat food or, I don't know, table scraps, stupid shit that you shouldn't be feeding animals in the first start. That, it makes me so mad. Because people will get ferrets and not know how to take care of them, and then we have situations like me adopting Juniper and baby and then having to promptly spend $3,000 getting a giant stone taken from Juniper's bladder. But more than anything, I'm just happy we adopted her to get it taken out, because that had to have been so painful. So Lilith and Juniper do not get along. Lilith is so old and confused that she does not understand what or who Juniper is, and she will attack and attack and attack until she tires herself out, and then she's just so old that she gets really upset for a long time. And I'm worried that one day they would do that and then Lilith would like drop dead with a heart attack or something, or her body just shuts down because she's exerting herself too much. So they do not interact. If they do, I'll let them sniff each other because they're curious about each other. Juniper especially is curious about Lilith. But I'll keep my hand, because if Lilith can't get through here and she just smells her, she doesn't really have the mental capacity to realize she can just go around my hand. She's to the point where if there's something blocking her, she just cannot figure out why. So it's pretty easy to keep them from fighting. One last thing I'm going to mention before jumping into the rest of the video is, of course, I've mentioned several times, we did have a third ferret baby. When I adopted Juniper, she had a cage mate. I don't think they were sisters. We literally didn't get any information about them other than that they came from a place that wasn't great. Baby unfortunately died a couple of months ago, and it still makes me really sad, obviously, because she was, you know, I loved her just as much as Juniper and Lilith. But she died very suddenly, and we don't know why. But after talking to 2 vets and just doing online research, since there aren't very many good resources for you to find health stuff out about ferrets because they're fairly new domesticated pets. But we think that baby was a little inbred because she kind of had a lot of facial features and quirks with her personality that is indicative of animals that have health issues because they were inbred. And they did both come from Marshall Ferret Farms, which aren't the best breeder. They're the mass ferret breeders that breed all the ferrets that go to pet stores. And so it is possible that she was just a ferret that did not have very good lineage. And we think that's why she died. We think it's possible that she just wasn't going to live out, you know, as long as a regular ferret would. But let me show you. We got this cute picture. We're gonna fill this whole wall with pictures of the ferrets, and there's baby. I thought this picture was really cute because she like looks so derpy with her hanging out of the rhino. So that's a little bit about Lilith. I'm going to now transition to the part of the video where I'm going to put footage on the screen that I've taken of her behavior, what her days look like, and I'm going to talk about it. And then after that, I'm gonna put a whole bunch of cute pictures and videos of Lilith from when she was younger and of my other ferrets, and I'll probably just do a voiceover talking about them. Probably just me freaking out about how cute they are, and that's what the rest of the video is gonna be.
Okay, so every morning I come into the ferret room to let Lilith out, and she's always already awake. Always. At the slightest sound or movement, she wakes up. And then she usually walks around kind of confused for a while. She's usually just very confused. Today, she just went back inside her cage and started biting on one of her beds and shaking it a little bit. She very often will walk up to beds or little stuffed animals and pick them up and shake them. She used to like to carry stuffed animals around like dead prey and fling them around and stuff, so I think this is pretty much just an after effect of that, because now she doesn't really remember how to do that, but she remembers that she liked doing it, so she still does a little shake or bite. And then she'll go and wait at the door. She does memorize the layout of her house, which is nice, and she can't see very well. And then I have to very slowly open it so I don't hit her in the face. And usually then I'll just like do whatever I'm supposed to do in the morning, but you know, on this particular day I just decided to film her wandering around aimlessly, so I sped it up a little bit. She'll wander around like this, just randomly running around, kind of not having a destination, but I could tell she needed to use the bathroom, because she always does when she wakes up. So I picked her up and let her use the bathroom, and I won't show you that, but here's like a few minutes later, at her water and food dish out here, and then she's just wandering around some more. She pretty much just wanders around super aimlessly all day, kind of stumbling. She can't walk super well. You can see several times in this footage, her legs just like go out from under her. And then she went to use the bathroom, and I decided to take this opportunity to see what Juniper was doing. Juniper's just chilling in here. Like I said, I cannot let them play, so I will alternate who's in the room, and it usually works out pretty well because Lilith sleeps so much. But here I'm about to show you some footage I took where I show you how I use my hand to keep them from attacking each other, like I mentioned in the video. Lilith just doesn't understand that she can go around my hand, so if I do this, there's really no problem. She just kind of, you could see she sort of charged at my hand a little, but then she immediately forgot and walked away. If they do end up coming in contact, they fight. Lilith is vicious and she attacks Juniper, and there's a lot of screaming involved, and it seems like it's a very bad time, so I just make sure to avoid that. And then Lilith usually wants to go back out into the rest of the house. She does not really like being cooped up in the cage, and so I do everything in my power to have them on a routine where anytime Lilith is awake, she can be out, and I do pretty well. And here's just I decided to sit the phone down to take some footage because about 80% of the day, she just stands and stares into space, and I think it's really sweet. I think she's so cute. She's just trying to figure things out. She's just a confused old lady. And then she usually just hangs out. You know, she'll drink, eat, poop, and go to sleep. And that's her routine nowadays. She does not do much, but, you know, regardless, I wanted to make this video, like I said, just to document her for myself and whoever else really cares. And oh, here's her little naked tail. She had a hormone imbalance and lost all the hair on her tail a few months ago, and the tip is never gonna grow back, but she's got a cute little nubbin now. So that was pretty much what she does in a day. It's not very interesting. So now I'm gonna play some more interesting footage, so it doesn't feel like I just made you watch a bunch of useless footage of my old geriatric ferret walking around. This is the part that I was most excited about. I wanted to show you guys what Lilith's like now, and then show you what she used to be like. She was very different. She was very sassy, so I think that while this footage plays, I'm just going to tell some funny stories about her, maybe some funny stuff that's happened. So, right after I got her when she was about 6 weeks old. One of the first things that happened is she injured herself. I remember we had these stairs leading up into my room that had a space on top, and I didn't think that Lilith would be dumb enough or clumsy enough to fall down them.
She is aggressive towards feet.
So one day, she was standing there just looking down the stairs. She was just checking it out, you know, standing on the balcony. And she looked back at me, and I looked at her. She looked at me. And then she fucking jumped. This little shit jumped. I was mortified. I was terrified. So I ran over as fast as I could to the bottom of the stairs. She had fallen 6 feet. She'd fallen like pretty far, you know, and she's so small. That's like the equivalent of someone falling off of a 3-story building. But she wasn't hurt. She limped for like 15 minutes and then she was fine. But that scared the absolute shit out of me. That was probably only the 3rd or 4th day I had her, and I'd never had a pet before, so I thought I was just a terrible pet mother, and that I had let this horrible thing happen. But thankfully she was all right. But that was pretty much her christening into my life. There are so many stories like that I have. So I'm getting ready to clean Lilith's cage. So, you know, I've got the trash can, I took all of her bedding out. There's usually a platform right here. That's over there because I'm about to clean. So how the fuck did she get up in there? Another one. Another one is, one time, I woke up because I heard her kind of going, like, hacking, you know, like, there was something in her mouth that she didn't want in her mouth, and I woke up, and I looked over, and her tooth looked weird. It looked like it was in a place it shouldn't be, so I got up and went to her cage, and her tooth was wiggling. One of her fangs was wiggling back and forth like it was just hanging on by a thread. And so, turns out that she knocked her fucking fang out somehow. This was probably when she was about 2 years old. And of course, this freaked me the hell out. So I rushed her to the nearest like person I could find that would check out a ferret, because it's not easy to find ferret vets, and had to like spend $800 getting the root of the tooth taken out.
What a beautiful catch. Catch of the day.
I think what happened is she sneezed, and sometimes when she sneezes, or like, you know, when a dog sneezes, I've seen it happen to dogs before, they'll hit their head on the ground on accident. And I think she did that and fucking knocked the damn tooth out. God. It's easy to laugh about now, but I just remember how absolutely horrifying that was. So she only has one fang. And that's why she knocked it out. I just keep remembering all of these crazy things that have happened since I've had her. You know, 8 years is a long time with a little accident-prone animal. I will say that like every accident she's been in has been her fault. She has no fear. She will just jump, you know, like if she's standing on a couch or a bed that's high up. I think that her whole life, she just knows that I will catch her and she'll just jump. She doesn't give a shit. It's hilarious, but also terrifying. So I've always had to watch her very closely. Ferrets aren't that smart, but since I've had other ferrets now, I can confidently say that Lilith just isn't that smart. I love her so much, but she's kind of stupid, you know? You know, because my other ferret I have now, Juniper, she is so intuitive, and she almost knows how to like open some of our drawers in our kitchen and stuff because she's watched us and she's learned. And Lilith never did anything like that. Lilith was always just more sassy. But, you know, I love that about her. Her sassiness and clumsiness and grumpiness. She's always been very grumpy. I've always thought that was very sweet. Now I'm gonna show some footage of the other ferrets, Juniper and Baby. Here they are on the first day we brought them home. And most of the footage I have of Baby is in videos with Juniper because since I obviously didn't know Baby was going to pass away so tragically, I didn't really prioritize taking pictures and videos of her, but I do have some really sweet footage of her. Oh, she loves rolling around on this rug. She loved rolling on rugs and getting pet, and she was so loving. I've never had a loving ferret before, so it was interesting because Lilith has never been that way, but Baby loved getting cuddled, and she loves pushing around balls with her nose, which is another thing I've never seen a ferret do. So does Juniper. They both really love pushing around balls and stuff, so I suppose they probably played like that wherever they lived before. The place that we got them from, we didn't get any information about it, but it was pretty horrible, so at first, they didn't really like us, especially Juniper. Juniper took a very long time to warm up to us. She just, understandably, was terrified of people. When we picked her up, she would splay her arms out to the sides like she had never been picked up before. So I get the feeling that they didn't get very much love and, you know, like just regular loving and petting and stuff from their owners. But once we had them for a while, they just completely became the most loving, amazing ferrets ever. And, you know, now that Baby's gone, Juniper has definitely become really attached to us because they had each other, so they didn't really care as much about us. But now that Baby's gone, Juniper has kind of like become my best friend. She follows me around like my shadow all day. And I really wish we still had Baby, but I'm glad that at least I can kind of step in and help her not feel as sad about Baby being gone. I try really hard to make sure that anytime she wants to play, I play with her and that she doesn't feel like she's bored or missing out because her friend is gone. Sometimes I think that maybe I'll get, you know, maybe we should get another ferret because Juniper seems like she wants companionship. Because even though Lilith is extremely mean to her, Juniper will search her out. Like, Juniper will just walk right up to her, even though she knows she's just gonna get her ass kicked. And that makes me think that maybe she misses having other ferrets around. But I don't know. I can't decide whether or not I am willing to take on another animal that will only live for 5, 6, 7 years. You know, ferrets get diseases so easily. They're prone to so many diseases, you know, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to bring another animal into my life that just doesn't live very long. Because I've never experienced losing a pet before we lost Baby, because Lilith's still alive and she was my first. And it affected me like as bad as if a person had died. I did not expect it to, but it did. And so I'm not sure